That looks pretty good.
That's good.
I think I just went live. All right. So excited. We got our new book club. Okay, sorry guys. I just had to refresh this.
Probably didn't want to do it.
No, she's like, Mom,
I can't go over there.
Was you nervous? So this book
She'll go on stage, mind you. She will go on stage and dance and sing for hours. But this little book club, she's like, oh, I don't know. Suddenly she's all
I know.
Yeah, like shy, nervous. I know. But if she always wants to join, she can join the chat room area. So I think I did this before in a couple of meetings ago. They can post the comments, and then I can make it flash across the screen all fancy like. If people don't want to be on like the actual camera stream. But this month's book is Jan's book, and her choice was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. My drink is a non-alcoholic Jarrito, and it's grapefruit. I just want to say
non-alcoholic, is it?
Non-alcoholic. I just didn't have any booze, and I went to the store and I forgot to grab something real quick, but I was like, I'm running out of time. I was like, I gotta go. But then we'll go next. How about you, Becky? What you drinking?
It's a rosé in my Epcot glass that I got for completing the Food and Wine Challenge last year.
Oh, nice.
I remember that one.
Fromage montage.
What's the challenge? What'd you have to do?
You have to eat 6 things on their list. And there's 6 different things on the list, but you don't have to eat all of them, but you have to eat, like, you could eat 6 of one thing if you want, but you just have to get 6 stamps from the people. And then you go get a special treat, which is usually, this was an ice cream, some kind of ice cream special thing in the class. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I know. Well, yeah. So you still had to buy 6 treats.
Of course.
I know. Well, when we went, it was like we had a lot of drinks and we had a lot of appetizers, but it was fun. And I wanted to do more, but then you're like...
There was one for the Flower and Garden.
What was the
Was there?
Yeah.
Like a Tupperware then?
It was
a different thing.
Oh no, that was the
the Remy search.
The Remy search.
Oh, the Remy search
was one. Then they had an Easter egg search that was like right before Easter, that had, I forget who you were looking for. You were looking for the eggs, and that was eggs. A cup, I think. But when you if you go to any of the festivals, they have like a festival booklet, and it tells you what the food is and all the various kiosks.
Yeah.
And on the back page, it has like an eating challenge, which is what this.
Oh, so I missed the eating challenge.
You missed the eating challenge. Only
That's
that.
Next time. I think next time I'm just gonna go for like Epcot.
That's who wore one of her dresses, right?
Yeah. When I met up with her, I think
at the Kingdom.
We were at the Kingdom, yeah, and she was wearing
one of her. You know, she has a whole wardrobe of it.
Yeah.
Why isn't she on the book club anymore?
I don't know. I think she's busy. I think same for Samantha. Samantha had the baby, so she's gonna be. She's kind of busy with little Elizabeth.
But Elizabeth could come.
I know. I think she's trying to catch up on sleep. It's a new parent, so I was like, I got you.
You can
for the next 2 months.
18 years.
Yeah. All right, Mike. What are you drinking, or what do you got?
I'm drinking bourbon.
Bourbon. Cool. I figured you don't have anything because you just got there, Jan. So you're like,
oh, you do?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I shouldn't have assumed.
That's okay.
All right. So we'll get started on the book. It was Jan. Do you want to kind of like introduce it a little bit, Jan?
Well, my daughter started high school this year, and her teacher, this was the first book they read. And she came home, and I'm a elementary school librarian. And she said, Mom, you have to read this book. And I haven't had time all year because I've been reading all the books that I have to read for my job. And so I chose it so I could read it too. And right now we're going through, we have Governor DeSantis, who some people love. He's not my favorite person. And he just passed a House bill where I will have to vet every book a teacher reads aloud or requires a student to read. And I have to type a spreadsheet to go on our website for every parent to be able to see what every teacher is reading in our school.
Oh
On
boy.
top of all her regular library
fun.
duties and instructional duties as a librarian, now she has to evaluate every book every teacher in the school is
Wow.
going to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have to find 2 reputable reviews, and they gave me 5 different journals that I can go to. But so this book resonated, and it's really scary to me.
Yeah.
I had no idea what it was about, you know, and then it starts, and you're like, oh my gosh, the firemen are, you know, they're
Yeah.
starting the fires. Like, it's crazy to me. But
Yeah.
there's so much going on in our world right now, and the way he wrote, and you know, he put 2022, and then
Yes.
Yes.
I was like, wait, what?
in the AirPods, and then when you go in the room and all the screens, I'm thinking FaceTime. Like, I'm just thinking, how in the world did, you know? It's
Yeah.
weird to me.
It was very eerie, like how you mentioned. So, like, on top of just the world right now and everything going on, it's like I knew that was going to be like a little bit of political discussion because it's a political book. When we think of like Ray Bradbury, I think of like Halloween Tree. That's like that was my favorite book when I was a kid. I was like, oh, and but I didn't get to read this book in high school. I never got to read it, and I know a couple of other people didn't get to read it, but it's mostly people like people get to read it in high school. So I was excited. Yeah, I was like, I know I remember Great Gatsby and all that stuff, but never this one. So when you chose this one, this was always on my like to read list, and it was. I was like excited to read it. I didn't get to read it actually. I did the audiobook, but here's the thing. The audiobook is narrated by Tim Robbins.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh my gosh, it is the best audiobook I've ever listened to. He did so great. So if you guys
audiobook, because I read the book, but now that you say that, I'm like, oh, I want to hear that.
He did a really good job with it. At first, when it first started, I was like, Tim Robbins, I'm not too sure. But yeah, he nailed it.
He nailed it. Because at first I was like, all right.
Because I read it at like 1.5 speed, and it was still good.
So I think I read it at like 1.3. So like it was, or not read it, but listen to it at 1.3. But it was really, really good. He did all the characters' voices really well. He put passion into what he was reading. It was beautiful. So it's probably one of the best narrated books I listened to.
Yeah, it's good. I can really picture it.
Yeah, I could too. And it just, you could tell the feeling and the passion in when he was speaking the words. So that was just a suggestion. Anybody that's watching, definitely listen to that. And I think it was
unfortunately,
like 5
I watched
hours.
There was a movie from HBO.
Yes.
A few years ago, and it wasn't anything close to the book.
That's what my daughter said. So the teacher, after they read the story, she had them watch the movie, and the children were all really upset. But that was another reason she did it, because, the children always want to watch the movies. And then she's like, look, you had not read the book, you would have missed, and they were so upset by the movie. So I didn't watch the movie because I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, I've heard multiple people say that, and I was like, I probably not watch.
Didn't they make a movie in like 1968 or something also?
Yeah, I didn't watch that one. I watched the HBO one from a few years ago, and the little girl wasn't in it. The whole ending with I don't want to call them homeless, but the homeless people.
Oh, the whole homeless camp at the end. Yeah, the class that were holding the books
wasn't in it.
But that's the whole. I thought that was the whole point of the book, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is. Was that ending?
he kills the people, and then he's on the run, and then they're chasing him on. Oh crap! I do not like the way this is going. What are they doing?
No.
I was really getting caught up in the mire of it, and then he gets to that camp, and I'm like, oh well, at least they're accepting, and they can all go on the run together. And then when they say, hey, oh, what books do you have in your head? And they're like, hey, all over the world, somebody has a piece of a book.
Yeah.
Right.
Then I was like, oh.
So it gives that there's perseverance and, like there was no hope at the end. You're like, oh man, we only got so much left in this book. Like, what is he going to do? There's no hope left. Now he's on the run, and it looked like he was in complete darkness. But with that encampment, and he meets these people, and then they tell him, there's the whole world. There's even a whole community. There's one town that people have these books in, memorized. And even if through the generations it gets messed up or, changed a little, it still continues until that day where they're not being oppressed anymore and they can kind of break free and tell these stories again and tell the information and the literature and everything that holds, true to that. So I love this book. It's probably, I've seen that they actually made a fireproof version of this book.
Oh, really?
Yes. So I was like, oh my God, I want that for Christmas now.
Yes.
So that was really cool because this is like the epitome of like what we do here at Libations and Literatures and what we do when we read books and the passion that we have behind it. It is a little bit of it is a political book, but it's rightfully so. I mean, I think it was like 1951 was this released, I think. And it still holds true.
I think so. 50 or.
Yeah, I think 51, but it still holds true to this day, which sadly we're still going through the same thing where they're burning the books or censoring, Jan, what is being taught and what is being shown to the point like it has to, this was a dystopian fiction, but like you get so much, over time it's, not this book. Over time it's not this show. Over time it's not talking or not gathering, and it's kind of it resembles a lot of the other books like 1984, The Giver, stuff like that, where it happened, or The Handmaid's Tale. It happens over a period of time, and it gives that warning of that. And this book holds true to that to me. I mean, it was really good. It was a quick book, Mike, like you told me. It's like,
I like it.
Yes, it was to the point, and it gave you that story, and it gave you that passion. Like, it's a forewarning tale. Don't try to open your mind and open your eyes to see what's going around you and stuff like that. And I was so sad that Clarice, that beautiful Clarice that gave that light to him, that actually opened his eyes, and then she was
disposable.
So do you think
society.
They were killed, or do you think they moved on? What do you think?
He was killed.
I think she was, because she was walking at night, like how he said that's how he usually saw her. And then that when he was running away, those were those teenage kids that was trying to run him over, and they would have, but he laid on the ground, and if he would have, they would have flipped the car. The thing is, it's like that got me. It's like in this world, in the Fahrenheit 541 world, they were trying to control people so that there wouldn't be chaos. It's like control, and everything's fine, and watch your TV shows and be happy and merry in your own weird psychotic way. But in their world, it was chaos. There's wars every 40 minutes. There's children killing children. What was it all for? Yeah.
I like wars.
Yeah, like oh, this war's only going to be 40 minutes. I'm like, you're trying to prevent chaos, but then you are living in a world of chaos, and that's kind of in its way. That's like a warning or a tale. It's like you're trying to control a situation that you're making it even worse. So you're telling me that having a book is more than this teenager that just killed Clarice, like ran her over. Like that's just insane to me. So yeah.
Okay. So it was right after World War II, and communism was really, it had been there, but it was flourishing. And I thought it was
Is this in the middle of the McCarthy stuff?
McCarthy stuff was a little bit later, as I remember. It was later in the 50s.
I was wondering too.
But
I was wondering why he had this idea. Like something had to be going on.
But the whole communistic thing. Well, see, with the whole World War II, where they were like eradicating a whole race just because they didn't like the religion and the way they looked, and it was just.
Yep.
So I don't know if he just decided on books. Then I don't know where it came from.
I don't either. I know that there was like, it probably was. I don't think it was. I didn't. They were doing like book burnings, but I can't I don't have like a pinpoint of like the era and time, and what the reasons were. But I mean, it kind of holds true still today. Like Jan saying, and where they're voting, like what kind of books should be. This book was a banned book. This is a banned book. So. Yeah, it is a banned book.
The list of banned books in Florida is pretty long.
Right now they're challenging. So I got selected to be on the committee. There's 2 elementary librarians in our county, so I'm going to have to read every challenge book and go to the meeting with the school board and the superintendent and express, why I think. I'm never going to say I think a book shouldn't be read. So,
right.
And I think that's why they listen to me, because they know I'm very outspoken and very against this. But we've had book burnings at our school board meetings just this year.
Really?
I mean, but the book right now, and I've already read it, but I'm reading it again. I don't know if you guys have ever read Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry.
Oh, I know the book. I have not read it.
It's a children's book.
My kids read it, I believe.
It is so good, but it's about the KKK and, slavery. And, of course, the parent doesn't want her white child reading that and feeling bad about himself. And so she wants it off the shelf. And I'm like, it's just where we're headed. It's crazy right now.
Yeah. And that's insane to me because this whole book club, we all have a different perspective on what a book means to a person. It's within the individual. I mean, there's a subject there, but how it resonates to an individual is personal. So it's like, if this child's like, whatever, it's not for me. And then it changes a life for another child. It opens their eyes for another child. So I would just say not for me, but I would never ban a book. And this is actually how we started this book club, because there was a lot of, I never read the books, but it was a lot of judgment on women reading the 50 Shades of Grey books. And there was a lot of people. Actually, this is how because me and Sophia were talking, and there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, those are not real books," and blah blah blah, and they were making fun of women reading, and that pissed me off. And so it was like, I don't care what kind of book, women are picking up books to read. That's amazing. And so then we're like, let's just start a book club. And we're like, okay, let's do it. So, I mean, to each his own, and whatever material it is. I mean, it's art, it's beauty. It can it brings a subject to matter. So I'm kind of with you on Jan. I would literally fight for that. Every child.
And I'm with you. Our library policy, and we've never had parents sign it, but this year we're going to have to. It's actually going home with every child. But we have a policy, and it says, that if a book is not for your child, and I always tell my children this at the beginning of the year anyway when we do orientation, if you read it, it doesn't match your family's values, morals, it's making you uncomfortable, bring it back, I'll find you something else. I never could read something. But like you say, another child might need that book. And so I need it in my media center. So
yeah. If you start to unify this in a simple only particular things, we're going into those worlds of like 1984. We're going into these worlds of Fahrenheit 451 and The Giver. And there's more controlling in The Handmaid's Tale. And that's another topic. But anyways. Yeah. And it starts little. And pretty much all the same sense of these books is it started off little and then it grew into something more that couldn't be controlled by an individual, where they couldn't voice their opinions. And that's the scary part, because you don't realize you're in hot water until you realize you're in hot water. And then it's too late. So I would give this book to Hazel to read right now. To me, this is a wonderful book. I would sit with her and we'll discuss it,
I think that's the key. But we had shelves, literally shelves of books in the house, shelves and shelves and shelves. And we told the kids, you can read any book you want. Just read a book. Now, a lot of them were probably books they shouldn't read, but honestly, they didn't want to read them. Do you know what I mean? Like, some of the books like this, that would be something that when they were younger, maybe that they wouldn't read or something.
They're like, oh, I don't get it. Yeah.
Now, one day I came out in the living room and my husband's copy of Tom Jones was on the floor where they had fallen asleep. And I said, oh, Tom Jones, you said we could read any book. And I said, yes, read any book. And I'm like, I wonder what they're getting from Tom Jones.
Tom Jones.
Tom was a little racy kind of a guy.
Yeah.
I mean, cool book, but I mean, it was a very old book, but he gets around in his way, but it was kind of thick, and I think they just wanted to see what it was like.
What it was all about, yeah.
I read some of the racy parts, and then they moved on, put it away.
Yeah, well, at least it wasn't the Keith Richards one. I read that one. My mom actually gave that to me. It's entertaining. Really read
what, his autobiography?
Yep, his autobiography. Oh, and it has pictures in it of him like smuggling drugs on a plane. It's hilarious. So yeah, my mom actually, I don't think she never censored me for anything, which I love her for that. It was always about information. It was always about learning. She's a professional lady, she loves school. She's always about teaching and stuff like that. So I mean, it was here, have at it. Read some Sherlock Holmes, and that is a base, that's me, and I'm trying to pass it on to Hazel, and so she can pass it on. Whoever watches this, that passion behind it. I think somebody said, like, what would you like to see more in this world? I was like, I would like to see people read more books, honestly. If they do, that's just a simple act of reading more books. I would honestly think would change the world. I don't know, something might sound all weird, like, but it would.
Oh, that's what Harry Potter did.
Oh yeah,
Harry Potter changed the world.
Yeah, Harry Potter changed the world. It opened up a whole just like aspect for the children, for adults. Like, hey, I really like how
like this. That's what was good.
It's they're brilliant books.
Yes, they were.
Yeah. So.
But my favorite, when I was younger, my dad, because my mom back then didn't work, the mom stayed home.
Right.
So she needed a break from us. So one night a week, my dad would take my sister and I to the library. And that was a huge treat. We loved it. And we would go in the children's section. I remember sitting on the floor with just, books around us and reading. And he'd be in his section reading. But, it was full. And now you go in libraries and it's just.
I was there yesterday or the other day. And it's like a cavern.
It's so like you say, I wish more children would be in the libraries and, families and enjoying literature and not home with the tablets and the TV and the,
Yeah.
But then, I did listen to it on audiobook. I've streamed most of these.
But that's okay.
So I'm still experiencing the book. But I have a big stack next to my bed of actual read it, and I got books at the library to read. I read a lot.
I literally have books everywhere. Wherever I have a book. Seawolf. Like
Seawolf. Who's that? Is that
Jack London?
Jack London.
It's the Seawolf, yeah. It's like I have like books everywhere, but no. What was I gonna say? I got excited. I grabbed my book. Sorry, but it's sad because now I know what I was going at. But a lot of kids would rather choose like tablets and stuff, and it's kind of like an easy way out. And having an 8-year-old, it could be an easy way out. We have her. She's got probably like 4 bookshelves, and then we signed her up when she was like 5 to the public libraries. And in the public libraries, we kind of promoted that with a lot of people. She was in Girl Scouts, and we actually had them go to the public library. And a lot of people were like, I didn't know that they had these programs. I didn't know that they had activities. And I said, yes, it's wonderful. It's available for everybody. And those librarians literally will go over and beyond to get a book for you. And that is wonderful. They will hunt down a book and they will get it for you. And that is like they did the most people ever done for me. I'll be like, oh my God, you got my book. And it's so I always kind of promote that. Go to your public libraries, donate to your school libraries. Even if you can open up a little one of those free libraries in front of your house that people can take a book, leave a book.
I have one.
You have one? Do you? I want one. I was gonna tell Erin to make me one or something.
She absolutely does.
Yeah.
Project.
Every so often, it's like I finish books, and I'm like, oh, this because people do come by.
They do. Yeah. They get changed
out
frequent. So.
Yeah.
People do read them. So when I was a freshman, we moved to a smaller suburb of Indianapolis, to Carmel, and the library was an old building downtown, which was just like a few blocks, I don't know how many blocks, 3 or 4 blocks, but we'd get on our bikes, my sister and I, and it was downhill. So, we'd ride downhill to the library like multiple times a week. And we were friends with the librarian, and we would go and take out this book and that book, and then we'd have to ride back uphill to get home. But
so would you light the match and go down with the books?
Ooh. You know what?
I love books, but I'm not doing that.
I don't know. Sorry. I adore her for doing that, but I don't know.
I think that was fine. But
I was like, she's gangster, man.
Old, wasn't she old? They kind of set her up as old and lonely.
Well, I was going to say, I think she's old, lonely, and the books were all she had, and so
she was like, why bother?
Yeah.
Why?
If she's gonna watch her literal her worlds that she has created in her mind, the stories that she went on adventures with, they're gonna burn it in front of her. That was her world. So I understand if that's all she had, and that's the powerful, because sometimes these stories, these books are all somebody has. That's their way of escaping the situation, whatever their life may be. It's something to cope and makes them laugh, and they fall in love in books. They fall in love with characters. It's just, I can just go on and on and on.
So I listened to this cool book. It's not very long. It's called I think it's called The Cat Who Saved Books. It's Japanese.
Oh, nice.
Of course, I listened to it in English. He goes, arigatos about it. But this guy, the young Japanese guy, is a high school student, but he lives with his grandfather, who owns an old used bookstore.
Okay.
And his grandfather dies. So now he's trying to decide. He thinks he's going to need to sell the bookstore and go live with his aunt, who he does not even know, and go to a different school and go to all kinds of stuff. And he's very depressed about this. And a cat shows up. And the cat talks to him. And he's like, so you're talking? And he's like, yes, we need your help. You are going to have to save books. So anyway, they go on I think it's 4 different missions. He goes with the cat, and another time with a girlfriend. And they go there's one place where the guy is trying to make the books so that everyone can read them, and they don't have time to read the whole book. So his job is to cut the books down to as little a book as he possibly can so that people can read it. And he says he's doing a great service by making people be able to read more books. And what he does is he just sits there and cuts up the books all day long. He snips the books up. So they have to change the way this happens. And it was really good. My friend up the street, not this one who thinks it's cool, but my friend up the street is like, I said, it's really neat. It's really interesting. She goes, you can hear this, right? I don't read books about talking cats.
It's not the point of the talking cat.
Exactly. The talking cat is just a catalyst to get you from here to there.
Yeah.
In the theater, we called it a willing suspension of disbelief. Yeah. When you're sitting in the theater, it's not real. You willingly suspend your disbelief to buy into whatever story is on the stage. And you have to do the same thing in a book like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Suspension of disbelief. Okay.
Because most children's books, that's what they are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, characters
Yeah.
or, you know, so
all right. And this is, you know, this is a young adult. It has more of an adult sort of theme with them trying to go on these missions to save the book. The one guy, I think he has all the books behind cases, and when he reads the book, then he doesn't. You don't touch it again; it stays pristine. And he's like, "Wait a minute! You don't read them again? You don't do this? Oh no! I read however many thousands of books a month. I don't have time to do this." So he has to rescue these books from the guy. So I don't know. I thought it was really wonderful.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, sounds good. If you can put a link to it on like the group page,
Well, let me see
that'd be cool.
if I know I got it through. I think of Audible. So Audible.
Yeah, please.
Is it Audible? What?
I don't know. I'll take a look. I'm always like reading like 3 books at a time.
I'm sure it must be a book as well.
I'm sure it's on Audible.
It's
It probably is.
But you know, some things are only on Audible. Like Fahrenheit 451. That's the only Audible venue it was available on.
Yeah, it's on here.
Is it on Audible?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
The
cool.
Cat Who Saved Books.
Yeah.
I'll put a link on there for anybody.
Please.
Yeah.
It's really good. And these are my book club friends who don't sneer at talking cats.
I love everything.
You know, The Wizard of Oz was book 1, and there's 50 or so books in the series. And they all have talking animals. Did you know that, Mike? Did you know? Yeah,
No.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he wrote 13 of them, and then another gal, I don't know if there was a little contest or what, but this gal who was a writer of some kind, she took over and she wrote another like 20, and then the illustrator wrote 2 or 3 of them, and then other people have written them as the years have gone by. His grandson, who I met one time because he was here selling the books, wrote 3 smaller books, but they all have talking animals, and somewhere in there after Dorothy's 3rd or 4th trip, it's kind of like Narnia, you know, she had to keep finding a different way to get to Oz.
Yeah.
So after whatever, the 3rd or 4th trip, she just moves there, and they move Auntie and Uncle Henry and the farmhouse and the chickens. They move them all there. And when the chickens get there, they can talk. All animals can talk in Oz. The only one who doesn't talk is Toto, who can talk. He just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. He's like, no. I actually did hear about that there was like multiple books and stories.
Multiple books, and they're amazing. Huh. So, yeah.
Yeah, they sound like it.
So, yeah, my
too busy reading all the books the governor DeSantis says I have to vet.
Yeah, that's the problem I have with them, and I've said that all along, is that people like him, like these Moms for Liberty, like these people, they're sitting there saying this should be done, but they're not going to do it.
They're not the ones that
What
do
do they
work.
care? They don't have to do the work. They just make a proclamation, and you have to do all the work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so frustrating.
And you know, and it's all about like all these books like too. It's all about like just the control. Like, yeah, you do it, and then we're gonna control the situation and control that, and it's scary. It is definitely scary.
The whole Roe v. Wade thing, whatever you think, it's just still discriminatory against women.
Yeah. Yep.
Whether you like abortion or not.
Yep.
It's not even the point. It's just a discriminatory move.
Yeah, it's our rights. This is a simple right.
100% women who are affected. There is no man. There are no consequences for the males in returning it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they just make this stuff from on high, well, they don't have to live with it or do the work or do anything. They can just make the rule.
Yeah, make the rules. The same with the books and the same with everything else. No offense,
Mike,
on men, but I'm not a fan.
Well, that was the problem with Clarice, I thought, in this book where she said, yeah, my dad, my uncle, or my grandpa, my uncle, whoever it was, my uncles, they talk about, they remember when there was a time when firemen put out the fires.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to his boss and he's like, yeah, what's about putting out the fires? And the boss knows about it. Boss is like, you can't know that.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
So how funny is it that, you know, the boss, which I think was Bader, was his name? Bader, which was the chief of the firefighters, he himself was an intellectual. He himself was well informed. And you're literally going on your soapbox telling, no, you need to keep it your level, and it just makes chaos and all this stuff. And I'm like, sir, that is you. Like, you are, you know, wasn't he like spitting Shakespeare? Wasn't he? Like,
yeah, he knew. That was the crazy thing. He knew so much. And to go in his room and sit there, and he knew he had that book. Like, he knew.
He knew,
Reaching under the pillow. I'm like, oh gosh, she's gonna pull it out, you know. And he's like, don't fluff my pillows.
I was literally like, no.
Well, and the thing is, like, Lauren and I, we're like listening to the book, so we're kind of like kept captive till he gets there. Because if I'm reading, I'll just like try to read faster, you know. I'll be like, what happened? You know, I'm listening to the book and I'm like, what?
Oh my god! I know. I was like, literally, I stopped what I was doing and I was like listening. I was like, oh, she takes this book out. I was like, oh no. But then, you know, you had that sense that he already knew. And he's already seen this situation before, where somebody has a self-realization of what's really going on, the bigger picture, and he's extinguished it before. And that was like, wow. So like they know, they understand it. He himself is a person like that. It's like he woke a little, you know. And that kind of made me mad. But then at the end, when he gets set on fire, and even Montauk said he was just kind of saying he didn't put up a fight. He didn't. He knew it was coming. He didn't. He's like, you think he would have done something, like ran away, but he kind of turned and he's like, all right, give me your best shot. Yeah. And I was like, maybe he was so wound up in the whole situation that, you know, you kind of, it's like you're a monster, but really you're chasing yourself. Like that was him. And he knew that this world wasn't ready for people to go back to how it was, you know. And I don't know. It was weird. That one's a weird one I still got to think about. But like for him to, and he even said it, it's like he didn't even make a move. He just kind of stood there and he let catch him on fire, or flamethrow him. So
well, I liked how they were starting to go.
Or he knew the city was going to get vaporized.
It was going to get vaporized?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it did, and it...
Yeah. They vaporized the guy that they thought was him.
Yeah, that's messed up. I was like, this poor guy's just going out for a cigarette.
Forget about it. Come on, get back on the horse. Let's go, you know? But it's the whole control thing, like you're saying. Like, they just want to control them. You know?
Yeah. They want to control for their own personal agenda, whatever it may be in this book and in the other books, but there's always an agenda. Either it be for profit, either it be for votes or whatever, you know, for women, you know, control over women. That's always the basis for everything, because like how we were just talking about, you know, you got these guys up there like, oh, yeah, we'll pass it and we'll have other people clean it up. But at the end of the day, we are with our puppets, you know, kind of dealing, and you know, we don't.
And I love the older man in the book that he had the friend that got him.
The professor.
And you know, and that was a really good aspect too, because that's somebody that's like, hey, I saw this and I didn't speak up and I feel guilty about it.
Right.
And it's kind of like, but you know, he was trying to like redeem himself, but he was still terrified, and that's okay, you know, like.
But you know, it didn't really tell you what happened to him, but I was optimistic. Like, right? Like, I got the feeling because he was on the train or the bus, I guess, going from point A to point B when the war came and obliterated the towns.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm hopeful he was on the bus and that busload of people went off.
Out.
Yeah. And what was, okay, so I was a little bit confused. He had the instruments in his room. And it was like the earpiece, right? Like the talking stuff. And he was wanting to start like, was it like a underground like army? I don't know. I was a little bit confused on that. What was he trying to do with those instruments?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, aren't they the ones who are going to?
They were going to print the books.
Right.
Were they printing? Was it printing material? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they were going to print the books. And is he the one? I loved how they started doing it where he could. where they were going after like the firemen themselves, their houses, and burning.
Yeah, that was like, ooh, that's a
and I was like,
right there.
Well, I like this retaliation. They burn one down, and the next thing you know, he's confronted. He kills the guy. He's on the run. I'm like, what the hell?
I was like, oh man, I kind of wanted to see that play out, you know?
Right? So he goes to that guy's house, and that guy's like, hey, I'm out of here. Well, do this and get rid of my scent and get rid of this, and the robo dog won't find me. And
that robo dog was freaky.
That robo dog was freaky.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, no, that was like a Minority Report kind of deal, like just coming after you, the scent. I was like, oh no.
And that's what disappointed me about the movie too, is the dog wasn't in it. The little girl wasn't in it. The dog wasn't in it.
It's so weird. I was gonna say it's key parts.
It's key parts, even the ending, like nothing.
Did they make it just for the just for the pyrotechnics, basically? Did it look? Was that movie more for
the fire?
Yeah,
that's what I got.
And the planes weren't in it. The whole ending wasn't there.
What was there? Just burning books?
Yeah. And
but it was all about the special effects and fires, right?
Yeah, he lit the captain on fire, and it was over.
It was like the commercialized version of this book, I guess, like how they even make fun of it in the book, where all the TV screens on the walls and stuff, like it's just all for show and flash, entertainment.
Yeah.
But they missed the big picture of the actual book. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you were keeping the books very short, so you made a 2-hour movie and you left out most of
it. Exactly. Yeah. Right? It was like it could have been done. Like, well, maybe hopefully in the future we can kind of get something a little bit more justifiable for a movie,
Yeah.
I'll say now I want to go back and watch the movie made in the 60s, I think.
I want to say it was like 68 or 70. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually a little bit surprised, and I was a little bit that I haven't read this book, and I was a little bit ashamed that I haven't read it.
I was
1966. Julie Christie in 1966. Ooh, I definitely want to watch this movie. Let's see who's in it. It got a BAFTA nominee for Best Actress.
Ooh.
Nothing really over here. Let's see. I was trying to see. Oh, it's a Truffaut movie too.
Yeah, I think this book was really good, and it kind of intermingles with like the book that we read a couple months ago, The Parable of the Sower, and like we have this dystopian future, and because people are trying to censor people are trying to control either like I said before, like by profit or whatever. It can just blow up in our faces, like as a whole society, and it's just, I definitely recommend people to read this book and the other books that we've read kind of similar to this, so especially in this time right now with everything going on.
Well, and now I wonder, because she's going to have to get this book approved because she makes the children read it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to see if this eventually, because you said it was banned, but
it's one, yeah.
She was reading it, so it's
you have to vet the entire.
Oh, I don't bet.
High school.
No, so the high school librarian at her school will have to vet it.
So what are for the parents, what are they looking not to see in a book? Like obviously like sex, gore, what? So to me, I mean this book had, I mean there's war, but it wasn't graphic war. Probably the most graphic thing that they explained in it was when the chief was getting on fire, and that wasn't even that graphic, like.
I would think they more wouldn't want children to read it.
Yeah, I agree.
They wouldn't want children to think for themselves and be like, you
that's
should
insane.
You should burn books. And I think that's the thing. Like this book, they don't want them to think for themselves. They want to be in control of what their kids read.
It's the whole premise of. Yeah. Oh my goodness! Yeah. No. So, the parents are upset about this. Mm-hmm. Oh, do you want me to go down there? I'll go to Florida. That is insane to me that you don't want your child to think for themselves, to conclude things, to have an imagination. I mean, to better this
That's
world and not
scary
make
stuff.
it worse. I mean, that's insane.
But then
to
they
me.
just passed. They want us to do prayer in school. So I'm like, you can't have it both ways. Like you can't, you know, because there's some families that's not what they would want their child to do, but yet you can't read books. But now we're gonna. I just don't know what's happening. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't either. It's like even hard to put into words that we even have to defend this. You know, like that's insane to me. It's upsetting, but you know, it gives me more of a passion to try to do a more progressive thing for future, for anything that I kind of come across. Any like my child or you know our book club community. Of if we can make at least kind of like in the book, if we can at least continue on until and persevere in the way that we're doing it, we hold tight. Hopefully there is a day that will come where this is not even going to be in question. I don't even understand why it's even in question right now.
There's a guy in Brevard, and he started buying all the banned books.
Oh yeah.
And he's giving them out to children.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he's crazy how much money he's raised now.
He's raised so much money.
He has.
And books.
That's awesome. Can you put that link on our page, please?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
I'm going to find it because he's doing so much, and they are so mad at him right now. Moms for Liberty.
Moms for Liberty.
So they'll go to rallies and they pass out the books to the kids for free. They're like, here.
Nice.
Amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, but like books, Gone with the Wind, I think, is a banned book. And, you know, because of the slavery, I think. But
it is.
And they say, oh, you know, she made up all this stuff. But actually, I mean, it was true stories that she got from her family that had been in the Civil War. She was just retelling it. I don't know.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh yeah.
Which is insane. That's insane to me. Let's see. Of Mice and Men.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've read those.
Let's see. The Bluest Eyes. I haven't read that one.
Oh,
I think you know what? I'm gonna go on a banned book reading list for the summer, and I'm gonna promote the crap out of it.
What other books were on the list?
I was in a bookstore yesterday, and they had all the banned books that you can buy and read. Yeah, it had a display like you're saying.
I'll put the link on here, but George is a banned book. The Hate You Give, and Tango Makes Three. I don't know why that looks like a child's book. Brave New World, which is Aldous Huxley. I love that book.
Aldous Huxley, yeah.
Yep. The Catcher in the Rye.
Catcher in the Rye. Why? Why? Because he's a rebel. He doesn't want to do what they tell him.
Because he's the rebel and he doesn't want to do what he tells him, and he's trying to like.
And he wants to go up.
Holden.
Poor Holden Caulfield out of
Holden Caulfield. The Kite Runner is a banned book.
Oh yeah. Well, and that was an awesome book. I think it might have a rape scene or a beat up scene or something in it. I don't know.
Animal Farm. The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
13 Reasons Why. Fahrenheit 451. Lord of the Flies.
Look, I have no idea.
Lord of the Flies, yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter read that this year and she couldn't stand it. She said that was an awful book.
It's
so I didn't
an
read that one.
uncomfortable book, I think.
Yeah.
Mouse, which this is like I think it was actually on debate over here. Hadn't read it. I was gonna take a look at it too, but
really in Liberal Illinois,
it's just prize-winning graphic novel. It's a cat and mouse retelling of the Holocaust.
I remember seeing that on the news. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but no, you can't really see it. But yeah, it's a retelling. Catch-22. This is insane. I can't.
And that's just part of the culture. Everybody knows what a Catch-22 is.
So he's paid $28,554.
Really?
And countless amounts of books that have come in. People send him the books.
So I've read a couple of these books, but I'll put the list on there, and if anybody wants to do side reading, this will be the banned book summer project list. So we can always do like a side book club of like the ones that we read.
Yeah. We'll do a banned book club.
Like, yeah, a banned book club, a sub book club for literature, libations and literature.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I love this one. I'm actually going to probably request the fireproof version of this book for Christmas on my Christmas list.
I'm gonna buy
For
that
sure.
one later.
That is fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. She'll love that.
Yeah, I'm glad that you picked this, Jen. I really do, especially in this time right now. I think it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really was. So
Quite
thank
timely.
you. Very timely, very perfect, and it was needed. It really was.
Yes. And I love books like that I haven't read before.
Yeah, I know. No, like I was saying, I was a little embarrassed. Like, oh man, everybody read this in high school, not me. Okay.
But it wasn't one of our books in high school.
It wasn't. It wasn't one of my books. I did read The Great Gatsby, and also Great Expectations, which I did not.
Oh, yeah, I didn't like that either. We read that one, Great Expectations. Yeah. I think we read The Catcher in the Rye. I read it before we had to read it.
I read that out of there. I think the Little House on the Prairie books are being banned somewhere.
What?
And she actually had, she had from Illinois, from Chicago, where the head library, whatever that is, the National Librarian Association or whatever it is, it's based out of Chicago. She had gotten an award, way back when for the series. They pulled it, and that library board voted. They all voted to pull that award from her because of the way she depicted Native Americans and Black people in her books. And I'm thinking, well, it's not like she sat here in 2018 and made that crap up about them. That's just how it was at the time.
Yeah,
exactly.
And why you start condemning these people and taking awards instead of saying, this is how they thought at the time. Look how far we've come. Look at what we're not going to do again.
Right.
This is how they described things back then. This is how it was written. And look how we evolved as a community, as a whole, as everybody, of how we are now. Which actually doesn't say much because I feel like we just stepped back so behind. We're de-evolving, which is sad. But no, exactly. It's like this is a long time ago. Like, I mean,
yeah.
So I just found it says Bradbury himself was inspired by the Nazi book burnings, which is what you were saying, and ideological repression in the Soviet Union. In a 1956 radio interview, Bradbury said that he wrote Fahrenheit 451 because of his concerns at the time during the Second Red Scare about the threat of book burning in the United States.
Yeah, that's what it looks like when you read it. That's the kind of thing that it looks like it must be.
Yeah.
Now, did you read The Watcher? I did not read it. I read To Kill a Mockingbird, which I love. And then, so it's not The Watcher. It's called The Watchmen or something like that. Whatever it is. The prequel is that she had actually written before To Kill a Mockingbird, but it wasn't.
Oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Is it called The Watchmen? Something like that.
Yes, it is called The Watchmen. Didn't that, not too long ago, didn't that come out?
Yes, it did. Like
4 years ago or something like that?
Years.
I think I have that book, but it's on my big old pile of books to read. But a lot of people didn't like it. I was reading the reviews, but
a lot of people didn't like it, and it was not as idealistic, I guess, as To Kill a Mockingbird. Because the moral of the story in To Kill a Mockingbird, of course, is that everyone deserves a fair trial.
Yeah.
Everyone, whether there's good in people, there's all the proper morals and the stuff that he's teaching Scout. But I think Call the Watchman was much more racially motivated and not as idealistic, which is probably why it never went anywhere. And then they finally said, hey, wait a minute, she's been dead all these years, let's publish it.
Let's try it. Yeah, that's exactly what I heard the reviews. Is like, I know that you're trying to get something out of it, but that's the reason why it was just kind of packed away. But I don't
And
know.
there was a time for about 5 minutes that they published a book of the Diary of Anne Frank in Modern Talk. Did you ever see that reviews for that? That's
No.
probably been 15 years or so ago. Do you know about it, Mike? Is he frozen?
Sounds interesting.
Well, so they wrote it like in modern lingo so that modern children could understand what it was, and it had an excerpt of it, and it was abysmal because the whole point of the book, the whole point of her diary is lost. I mean, you're supposed to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how you would modernize that.
Right. Well, stuff like roller skates or bicycles or something, the wording was changed to make it very modern instead of the more formal language that the translation that we usually read has. Or the more.
Yeah.
I read like some of the excerpts. I don't know if you can still read it on. Should look on Amazon and see if they have it or if anybody has the modern translation. It did not last long. It got panned so bad. I'm surprised they didn't have a book burning for it. It was terrible. There was just no need for it. And I think they were going to publish another one, but they were going to keep it true to the diary, and they were going to publish the entire diary because when the father allowed it, there's a lot of the sexual stuff was taken out.
Yeah. That he didn't want to kind of release, but I mean, you're talking about a preteen, teenager. There's going to be some stuff in the diary. Yeah.
For today's modern kid to read and get the deal. I think Anne Frank is a banned book.
I didn't see it on the list. I remember reading. I don't remember. I read it, the diary, but I don't remember reading it in school. I don't know if I did this as just my own kind of. I can't remember, honestly. But
when I was in 6th grade, we were in like this advanced reading group. These like 6 of us that were reading at some ridiculous level. So they had us read stuff like The Scarlet Letter and Captain's Courageous and stuff like that. And I was like barely 12, and I didn't get any of it. I mean, I didn't even understand it.
Yeah, you're like, what are we reading? Right. You don't really comprehend what the subject is in these books because you're coming off of like Toad and Frog, like, and then you're reading like The Scarlet Letter. You're like, wait, what's going on?
So they're trying to have us like read some of these classic books, and it was totally lost on us.
I didn't really appreciate books until I was like, honestly, I picked up Anne Rice's Interview for a Vampire.
Oh my God.
And I think I was like 19, 18, and I did this thing where I only read it at night. So when the sun went down, I would open my book and read it at night. And that was a great, amazing experience. And that really got me into the world of reading because as a kid, I actually could not read for the life of me. They had me in programs I couldn't do. I struggled a lot. They would take me out and help me out. And it was like something that I just put as like, it was a task, didn't enjoy it. I think I enjoyed like a couple books, like The Halloween Tree from Ray Bradbury and the Scary Tales to Tell. I love those little things, but I didn't appreciate books until I was like in my late teens, and then The Interview with the Vampire definitely opened my, because it was an experience. And it was an experience for me. It wasn't a task. It was an adventure through this, and that was like amazing. Then I started working at Barnes & Noble, and then that opened too.
When you read that book, like I'd read other vampire books before because I was a lot older than you when that book came out, and I read it, and it was so amazing, and I'm like, well, this is the real story of vampires. You know what I mean? It's so well written that you think, oh, this is. It was real. She wrote it so well that you just threw away other vampire legends. You're like, well, this is the real story.
This is how vampires are. Yeah. And then Vampire was after that. Yeah.
Stayed that way until Twilight came out.
Yes, it did. And then we all fell into Twilight,
Twilight came out, you're like, oh, wait. These are different skins.
Oh, this is teen. Oh, this is okay.
This is awesome. Their skin shines. This is cool.
Giant glittery skin. The skin of a killer.
Well, you know.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I just have so much passion about reading. I love it so much, and I will always promote it, and I will stand up for it, for all books, for everybody. So that's me, and definitely put that link up because I will donate tonight to that guy because that's amazing what he's doing.
I was looking for it, but I couldn't. I'll look for it. I was trying.
Yeah. I really like this one, and it will open more books for me that I need to read on my to-do list, things that I haven't that I really should. And this is perfect. This is a perfect book at the perfect time.
Yes.
Yay!
And I have a big training in 3 weeks, so I'll let you know how it's going.
Yeah, let us know. I mean, if you need, I don't know what you would need from me, but I'm here for it if you need any support in whatsoever. And I will literally get a gang of supporters because I can only imagine how frustrating that is, Jan. That you have to.
Becky and I will talk, and outside we meet out. It's funny, every day we're out there about the same time, and I'll say, what more has to happen for people to wake up? I just don't know. I keep wondering what more.
We're going to hurt ourselves shaking our heads one of these days.
I know. My neck already hurts.
What more does it take? This person comes out and testifies. These things happen. Why doesn't it go any farther? Well, let's try to find somebody else. Well, I don't know.
I just don't know how many more rights people need taken away.
Right.
But then you get the situation like in this book, and then it's done.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. That's
it's little by little. Today is a book about a mouse in the Holocaust. Tomorrow, or yesterday, was our reproductive rights. Tomorrow is going to be if we can, as women, hold jobs and anything. The next day is going to be gatherings, like in 1984. We can't have anybody gather too much, or nobody talk too much, and it all happens so slowly that over time it completely changes the world, and people come accustomed to oh yeah, that's okay, that's fine, and
want the rights. That's what's so frustrating. It was over time, and it was battle after battle after battle after battle, and we finally got the rights, and everything's fine. And then somebody comes along and goes, but I don't like those rights. So then the grassroots start up, and then it starts eating away, and then they get taken away. And it's, I remember friends of mine getting on planes to fly to New York because that was the closest place from Indianapolis that you could get an abortion. And, that it wasn't. When I got married in 1976, my husband had to sign for me to get a credit card.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it on my own.
No, that's insane.
Yeah. And that was 45 years ago. We're not talking about 150 years ago.
Yeah, I can't. I will not stand for that. I mean, I will die standing up for what I believe in, especially when it comes to women. I mean, literally.
And we have the whole gay rights thing, which I think is next. And then I have to say something about, listen, if you're going to be civil rights, Mr. Justice, what about interracial marriage? And
everything's on the chopping block. It's the prerequisite of it.
Listen.
Yeah.
So my cousin's wife took umbrage with this and basically said our current stand that we must have about racial equality not indicates, but it means that we can't go there. We can't go there. That would be wrong because of racial equality, and because we have to respect racial equality, we can't go there. You need to take that off So by giving people a pass for racial equality, that's just as racist as, you know what I mean? It's just as, I'm like, no, you can't say that. If gay rights and women's rights are on the block, then minority rights are also on the block.
Yes, yep.
That was my point. But you can't say, oh, no, we're woke to racial equality now, so we can't go there. We can, because civil rights are civil rights. And it really has, I don't care if you're black, white, or purple. It doesn't matter to me. Civil rights are civil rights.
Exactly. There is no, because then it's like it's the eye of the beholder. You think it can, but some other person can. They think that it is, and then there's chaos, and it's the Wild West, and we are de-evolving as a community. It's like what? It's insane to me.
You can carry your gun down the street. You don't have to have a class, or that's what they're starting in Florida too.
Florida,
everybody's gonna be able to carry guns.
You can have a gun. Yeah, you don't have to have a license. Nothing. You don't have to have anything but a gun.
It is the Wild West. You're right. That's what Florida is.
Yeah.
The first time I went to Arizona, that scared the hell out of me.
Oh yeah,
when I saw, because they have open carry in Arizona, and I saw a guy with a gun strapped to his leg, and he walked into a bank. I'm like, why is this armed guy walking into a bank?
Why?
Right.
Yeah.
And he was just doing his banking, but you never know.
You don't?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, but I don't know the psychological evaluation of each individual. And I worked at customer service, and I'm sorry, like 90% of the people that walked in were psychotic. They were not stable. They literally were not stable because we have all our health systems that have been shut down. There was no funding. So you have people that cannot get help for their mental disorders, but they can get a gun. And that's insane to me. You have people that can get a gun, but they can't get this book that we just read.
Right.
And then just like in this book, you're de-evolving the whole situation. It is going to be chaos. It's going to be children killing children, which is already happening. Like, what else? What do we possibly have to open people's eyes that we're living in this hell? It's insane. And this is not an American dream. It isn't. And it hasn't been for a while. And
you see that head of the World Health Organization came out in Geneva and said, yeah, the United States is like not being very cool here.
They're like not
It's
cool.
been proven that safe abortions save lives.
Yes.
All across the board. And
it's
what is the United States thinking is basically what he was saying.
Yeah, and actually a lot of people that I follow, especially because I do deal with people that are in Amsterdam and for my work and stuff, and they're so I got to have a little chit chat, and they open it up where they're like, you guys don't even realize that you're living in a world that is controlling you. That even everything is a control aspect, but they make the world believe it, that the American dream is the dream, but it isn't. And we're all around. We're all around here, like looking at you guys, watching the circus.
Right.
And I was like, and you guys think that we're like, ooh, Hollywood, it's us, we're the it people, but your guys aren't. And I was like,
no, I know.
And like,
our British friends were always telling us that too. They're like, oh my gosh. And every once in a while, they were very cautious about the previous president because he was like hugely made fun of all around Europe and England because they looked at it in a whole different way than we. They just saw this fact, and they were like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
There's
a lot.
What is going on over there? And then with stuff like this, I'm getting from my English friends, what the heck is happening over there? But there's nothing we can do about it. Like, we get riled up, but what are you going to do? What?
Vote.
We'll vote. Yeah, go out and vote. That's it.
Vote. Yeah, we just had votes yesterday. My mom was working the voting polls.
You guys still do, right?
Yeah, yep. And I think because Illinois, you can still have an abortion over here.
Yes,
Pritzker, I know a lot of people don't like Pritzker, but we actually the state of Illinois was preparing for an uptick of women coming over here to safely have an abortion. So I'm trying to go and see if I can help out over there or anywhere I can.
Because I think there are only 20 states left that have the abortion that you can get it, and Illinois is like a little island here.
Yes.
All these states around it are like, no. So
yeah, and so Illinois, I think a lot of these clinics on the borders are getting ready. I mean, we kind of, because I live on the border from Wisconsin, so I'm a 10-minute drive away from Wisconsin. And when legal marijuana happened, it's recreational over here. We saw all these people coming down, but it's like the same premises. It's like there's a lot of people coming down for their medicine because it was medicinal but recreational. So we had all this uptick, and it's going to be the same for the clinics for the women. And I'm hoping that we can stay like that as Illinois, where we can at least be like a beacon in this darkness, something.
I'm coming up there. I'm only going to be up there for the weekend though, but I'm going to be up in Fox Lake. Is that far from you?
I think it's like an hour. I think it's an hour away. Yeah. So yeah, hopefully we go out and vote, go out and talk, just educate. Like that's the whole point of this book too. They didn't want people to be educated. Educate, talk. Don't be afraid to converse like how we're doing right now. Some people don't like to talk politics, and I get it. They would like to have their information, and that's fine. That's fine. So, you can have a base conversation about politics without knowing every fact or checking, or just get to know how other people think.
Or you end up like your dad's neighbor with the signs in the yard.
Yeah. So my parents' neighbors, they're very pro-Trump, and they put signs in their yard.
Let's get Brandon's sign.
Yeah, and so my mom goes and she gives them tacos as I'm a bigger person. Do you want some tamales? And they eat it, and they're like,
of course they do.
Yeah.
Of course they do, because hello. Yeah.
And then that's why my mom's like, they're just hypocrites, and I don't understand it, but they're a wild one. They're nice to my parents and stuff like that. But for them to have these signs,
there are a lot of people in our neighborhood that are very Trumperific, and there was even one of them with a sign, with the big flag that said DeSantis 2024, huge sign in the backyard for a long time. Those people just put their house on the market.
Oh, good.
Oh my God, I can't stand it. I'm like, oh, and this, of course, the lady. I'm sorry, but all the Trumpers that I see, they are hot messes. So this lady is,
There's a guy.
Hot mess.
I play cards at my friend Marilyn's every day, and across the canal, he has a boat with this huge flag that says Biden sucks on it. And in my friend Betty's neighborhood, which is another, Republican, but they have a very strict HOA. But there was a guy flying a "Let's Go Brandon" flag, and she came in. She said, "What is that even?" And I'm like, "Okay, so what that is really veiled profanity." She's like, "Oh," and I said, "And it just shows the total lack of class of anyone who would fly that profane flag, no matter who your candidate is." So it stayed up there for a month or two, and then she hasn't seen it. And then she went by, and their garage door was up, and he's got it hanging like on the whole back wall of his garage, and then he leaves the garage up so you can drive by and look in and see the sign. I don't know. It just shows your lack of class. Plus, Jan and I know how we vote, but not everybody in the neighborhood needs to know who I'm voting for.
Yeah, and I think I don't know I think the neighbor, because my mom was working at the polls. She does that when any election, so she goes and she collects for the party, for the Democratic Party. But anyways, that's what she does. That she does her silver duty. But I think her neighbor actually went in there and started talking politics, and that's illegal. So so they were like, "Ma'am, you got to stop because we will have to ask you to leave. You cannot do that. That's illegal to do." Like where they start to be like, whatever, our governor, So it's
neutral. Yeah, it's tough though, because people just get. Well, the thing is, I live in a divided house, as Jan Wells knows, and my other half is a Trump person.
I don't know how she does it.
And she and her husband tell me all the time, "How do you do it?" And I don't know if it's just eased off a little bit because I won't respond. But she watches Fox News and Newsmax, and all it does is get her riled up. Nothing positive comes out of it.
Yes, exactly. Yep. That's the thing too. It's the same thing, because I do have friends that are Trumpers. I was like, as an individual, I mean, like, we're acquaintances and friends, as like we have different political views, and that's okay to have. That's completely okay. Yeah. But as you just said, Becky, I was like, why does it always have to go negative? Like, why do you guys are always angry? Like, it's why do you have to hold down instead of helping people grow?
And I was like, constantly negative. But see, that's the role model. That's how he set it up. If he didn't like it, he's belittling, and that's fake, and and don't listen to that, and And that's the model that's been set up that these people are following.
Yeah, it's a Jim Jones kind of situation. I'm sorry to say, but he took advantage of people that were angry for other reasons, underlining things that they thought they were missing in their life, and they see this Messiah, literally, that they believe in, and they're like, and they cling on to it because that makes sense in their mind, whatever trauma they might have went through.
Charismatic, the Jim Jones thing makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why I was like,
people thought he was going to make a difference, and they believed in it. And Ann will say to me, "Look, it's not like I believe in everything you said, but your money sure looked good when he was there."
That's all they're worried about.
That's what they're more of them say stuff about. Now that Biden's here, there's inflation, the gas, the stuff. It's all Biden's fault. But it's not. It started long before Biden came into office, but they won't see that. And also, for the last 8 quarters, so for 2 years before Trump came in, the economy rose every quarter for 8 solid quarters. Then Trump came in and rode with it and said, "Look how great I am. Your money." Yeah, it was wonderful because it took 2 years to get there. And then he kept it there for 2 or 3 years. The pandemic came, and he didn't want to own up to the pandemic because he didn't want to take the economic hit.
Right.
It had nothing to do with people. It had to do with money. It's all money.
It all has to do with money, everything. Like every problem that there is, every controlling aspect, it literally is for profit. I'm going to tell you that right now. It either be the health system, it either be everything. It's because,
Yeah, as long as the insurance companies are still making money, it'll never change.
As long as we're still sick and we're still down in the totem pole and we're still producing a profit for them using these resources like really costly hospital stays and visits. It's the thing is they're keeping us here so they can but they're keeping us here so that they can stay up there, and that's the whole.
And opioids are another thing. They made these rules about opioids. Now Ann has chronic stuff. And she had worked from an injury a long time ago. And she had worked out this wonderful plan, she and her doctor. Some of it was opiates, but not even every day. It was just a good system of mostly non-opioid stuff and some opiates as needed for this kind of stuff. And her pain was in perfect control. But then they made this rule. So now she can only get 3 days worth of pills a month. So she doesn't need 30 days worth of pills, but she needs more than 3. So because of this opioid crisis now, it doesn't affect people like Ann who can control their proper and use it appropriately. Then it just gets all screwed up. So instead, people are going out to the street and they can't figure out why there's more and more ODs and more people dying from the fentanyl cuts and more of this stuff, and they're like, "What's happening? We're trying to control the opioid crisis, but you're just throwing people out onto the street to control their pain."
Yeah, you're throwing people out of the street. You're having these people do things that they never done before, either be crime. You have people that can't deal with it, so then they get thrown into the prison system, and that's another money making thing. It's all for money.
And Ann has controlled as much as she can with non-opioid stuff, but the bottom line is she's in pain a lot.
Yeah.
And she just lives with it.
Yeah, that's insane. You can't get help. Yeah, it's really needed.
Yeah, she's not going to go on the street, and she's not going to get all these drugs. She's going to do what she can do.
Yeah.
But the end result is that the pain isn't controlled anymore, and she just deals with it, and she has heating pads and
alternatives that
and uncontrolled substances that she uses that they help a lot, but that it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's a shame. And she's not alone, and her doctor said, "Look, this is the case with all my patients that were being managed, and now they're not." And every other doctor, the same thing. So thousands of people all over the United States.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
It's a shame, and it you don't realize it until I talk to people that are outside the country, when we have a, like just a little hearsay, or like, oh, hey, you know what do you guys think about the United States? They're like, and then you just get you're taken out of the box, and you're seeing the perspective of people looking in, and it's an eye opener. We already know it's a shit show, but like when other countries are looking at us and they're saying, no, it really is a shit show, and we actually, our hearts go out to you. Like they're literally raising money for kids to eat in the United States, and because we can't feed our children, like that's
it's so embarrassing. I'm so
yes. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like,
that's
yeah. And they're like, oh, you're in America? Where are you? I'm like, well, at least I'm in Illinois. I'm sorry.
Well, right now. Cool. Yeah, I'm from Indiana. Oh my god.
So I don't know. We laugh now, but on a serious note, we'll try to do as best as we can for the future of our children and the future for us women and everything. Just hope that we can win this one. Yeah.
I hope this book doesn't come true. Gosh.
Yeah. So who's picking the next one?
I think I can't remember who was next on the roster, because it was Jan, and I think it was gonna be Jason, but I don't know if he's still gonna be doing book club. So I have to take a look of who's next, because I'm pretty sure then it's Vanessa, but she's not in book club. I can always I think we already did her. I don't know. I gotta take a look, and once I figure it out, then I will notify that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
See if a couple of those people might come back into book club here.
I know, come back, because I think for the past couple of book clubs has kind of been like sporadic, but
we can do it like every couple of months, and
and people can make it.
And
I was kind of thinking that, and that's kind of what I was doing with book club. I was making it like every month and a half, so it gives time, because everybody's really busy, and then it like, people don't feel so pressured to get it done within a couple of weeks, So I might just move it to 2 months. So every 2 months we have book club, and then see what it does.
Like 6 times a year. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, and see, I don't know.
If we start doing that, we're like, you know what? It was a little better, a little bit closer. Then we'll start doing them closer again.
Yeah, do it again. Where I had it going for like a month and a half, which I thought it was going pretty good. We had like some turnouts and people. We weren't rescheduling as much. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, guys.
Well, it doesn't matter to me, because I'm like, I try to be as available as I can. So.
Yeah, I think I just couldn't make it last week because I had to help my friend move. So I was like, oh,
I had one day I was going to be gone.
Yeah. So, but hey, we didn't reschedule it 4 times, so we're good.
Right?
Yeah, that's a personal best. Yeah. All right. Well, I will let you guys know, and then I'll see who's next and notify them. And then once I get the book, I will post it. Or if they give me multiple books, I'll post a poll and let everybody know and tag everybody in it. But I really like this book, and thank you, Jan, and thank your daughter. Tell her thank you very much. Yeah. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next book club.
See you soon. Bye.
See you soon.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.